Hi, I'm Alan Ross. I'm here at the IEEE PES T&D, that's a lot of acronyms, conference. This is the 2020 version that is actually being held in 2022. These interviews that we're conducting is with thought leaders on the future of the power industry. So enjoy. Our next guest is Dave Meyers. He is the COO, soon to be CEO of H2 Scan. Is that correct, Dave?
That is correct.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
So we're asking all these CEO, president type people, what's the future look like of the power industry? Now, I know you're going to say, oh, I haven't been in the power industry, but you're a smart man and you're a C-level person. So you've been around long enough to know that there's a lot of change going on in the power industry. What are some of the things that you see that are going to be the challenges or the opportunities we're facing?
Well, the way I always approach these things, I'm not from this industry. So when I joined a couple of months ago, the way I sort of engage first is to sort of put myself, if I was running a utility or something like that, what would I do? What would be my concerns?
I'd quit if I were you.
Well, I don't know, I have that option, but...
Take the payout.
Yeah, okay. But, I think about it, like if I was them, what would concern me, right? And right now, what I see anyway, is like the decentralization of energy, and you see a lot of technology coming in to an industry which has been traditionally, from when I'm learning this, is very methodical because they have to be reliable, it has to work. And so you've got this dynamic of technology coming to an industry that has to vet it for a very long time and drive it forward. So, how do you manage that change, right? How do you think about that? How do you vet these things quickly and bring them into the market? And then I think about the current supply chain issues that are happening.
Yes.
And so, okay, so before transformers cost X, now they cost some multiple of X.
Yeah.
And, how do you manage that? How do you get the rates that you need to support that next capital investment? So if they had a business plan that they said, okay, I know transformers are going to fail at a certain rate, I know the cost, okay, I can plan that out, but, historic trends, we're not in a historic trend anymore. So if I was them, I would be thinking, okay, how do I manage this situation? How do I get more out of my existing assets? How do I, extend the range of these assets? How do I sort of manage that in sort of a dynamic situation? And then also from just the lead times and planning aspect, You've got to really crank up the planning in order to manage that going forward. So that's what I would think about, just looking at it from a business viewpoint.
That's why they hired you, because that's right on. No, those are all the issues we're dealing with. There are three things that are coming together that you've hit on, but for the last decade, demand in North America has been about flat. Mm-hmm. It's already starting to go up. We haven't even done EVs yet,
right?
But it's already beginning to spike. We had some people here, so these are not my numbers, but we had some experts from the industries, from C-level people, from utilities, and from suppliers. And the expectation is the lowest number I've heard is in the next decade, there's a 30% increase in demand of power. Right. To 100% increase of demand in power. And that is based on a 30% penetration of EVs.
Right.
Now, what people didn't consider, that data centers are coming back. They have a need for quality power, not just power, but quality power, and a lot of it. China stopped making bitcoins or mining them. They're being mined here now. It takes a lot of power. So everybody is seeing it go up, which is one of the chaos things that people are dealing with. The other thing is, you're exactly right. We have been a step down, high generation, step it to transmission, send it across the country, step it down to distribution. Now we're moving to a step everywhere, because now you got an inverter-based system. And we've had a number of people, and I think this plays to why you're here, is most of the action today is not at that big gen. We know we're getting rid of coal, we're getting rid of fossils. The action today is at the distribution. It's DER, distributed energy resources. It is a whole distribution network that's changing. It's prosumers, not consumers, right? Mm-hmm. Everything is changing in that aspect, and it's one senior person from a company that I won't name, but it is a major brand in the Siemens, Hitachi, GE type branding, said, it is absolute chaos in the marketplace, and we love it. And meaning opportunity.
Well, change, exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, change provides opportunity, but the decentralization, you have the one hand, you've got demands from EVs, and in Europe now heat pumps with the Ukrainian situation. But the offset is the cost of solar and localized battery systems at the residential level is pushing things back down. So you have this. So how do you plan for that? How do you know what the consumer is going to do? Do you know how many EVs they're going to buy and where they're going to go? You could have a neighborhood that has, a certain neighborhood could, everybody buys an EV because they see the EV their neighbor has and and it propagates. So how do you plan for that? I mean, how do you, estimate what your needs are from the distribution standpoint?
I think GM said that by 2035 they want to have 40% of their vehicles that are made are going to be EV by 2035. That's a lot.
I mean, in Europe it's even faster.
And that's a question. You're familiar with both what's going on in Europe and what's going on in North America. Europe is kind of like what is the canary in the mine? I mean, right?
Canary in the coal mine.
In the coal mine, because there's things that are happening there that we can either not do, or things that we can do. And unlike Europe, or many countries in the world where there is a centralized network, America is like a hodgepodge. I mean, we are the Wild West. We got, we were dealing with some of the DER people in some of these meetings, and asking them the same questions. What are you seeing? I haven't talked to anybody that has not said great opportunities, rapid growth. Great opportunities, rapid growth. I want to switch gears a little bit because H2 scan stands for what? Hydrogen.
Right.
Okay, right. And you came on with a purpose to run H2 scan. Seeing all of these things in your short tenure, as you've just been here.
No hard question.
No hard question, but in your short tenure, how is H2 scan positioning itself to take advantage of that future?
Well, I think the company's been around a long time.
Right.
Okay. They have a technology that's been proven. I always call it industrialized technology. Right. It's been out there. We had some clients that tested this sensor for 4 years before they would be willing to take it.
Hey, I'm a customer.
Right.
Okay.
So it's which is great for us, because no matter what technology changes are, you still have that time to, get it into market and build confidence and trust. Because at the end of the day, sometimes in business people ask, what do you sell, right? It's trust. At the end of the day, we sell trust. Because if you don't believe in this product and you haven't tested it, you don't feel good about it, you're not going to buy it.
You sound like my financial planner, right? And I'm saying, I want return, and he's saying trust.
Well, I mean, it's true, though. I mean, people aren't going to take risks unnecessarily, right?
Yeah.
You never get fired for buying IBM, for example, here. So, but going back to the core question, and what we're trying to do is we have a core. It's been industrialized. It's been proven. And the opportunity, the inflection point for the industry, I think, is that, with this DER and all the things that are happening, I think being aware of, having knowledge.
Yeah.
I always say, so I have a little bit of an optimal control background, right? You have to be able to observe a state and control a state to manage it purposely. Okay. So that's the key thing. So how do you observe? You have to monitor, you have to put things out there. So we believe that, our hydrogen sensing is used, as in the transformer market to observe initial problems and faults in the transformer. And so, without that observation, how are you going to manage the infrastructure that's changing very rapidly? So we believe there's a large opportunity there. We believe that the hydrogen economy is taking off very dramatically. In Europe, they're ahead than the U.S.
Yeah.
So we're focusing a lot of our efforts to get involved in trials and so forth like that, and bring what we've established in the, I'll call it, in the transformer monitoring segment into that quality, that experience, into that market. And so those two opportunities are tremendous for us. I mean, it's, we couldn't ask for a better time. So we have the technology, it's been proven. We've just received $70 million in financing, and the market's ready for it now, right? So to me, this is a perfect, I won't say a perfect storm, but a perfect opportunity, maybe is a better way to say it. But so I think for us, it's a very exciting time.
So in the monitoring business, H2 scan is kind of ubiquitous. My story is that we were at a company that I was formerly with. We were looking for a hydrogen monitor, and we bought one of the customers that was buying from you. We bought their package, and then we packaged it. So by the time you went to market, you were just way priced out of the market. But I, through a series of events, got to find out and had the permission of the company that we were buying from to actually go direct. And I've seen it. It's a game changer.
Well, I mean, that's why I'm sitting here today, actually.
Right.
Because I work for a large engineering consulting company, and we were tasked to design a monitor for a transformer.
Right.
So they wanted a hydrogen sensor, so we went and called everybody. Said, okay, where's hydrogen?
Yeah.
And we asked them, can we buy the sensor? And they're like, well, we don't make the sensor. Who does? H2 scan. And so we went through the list, and I'm like,
H2 scan. H2 scan. Yeah.
So we went through all the lists, and we're like, wow, everybody buys the same sensor.
Yeah.
And we saw the market turn, and at the time I was responsible for strategic investments in company, and so I met Dennis and the current CEO of the company, and we ended up doing an investment in the company.
That's excellent.
And that's why I'm here today.
Yeah, and I kind of know what's happening at the company in terms of development, and that action that everybody's talking about at the distribution end and the DER end is right where you're going to, from a monitoring perspective, H2 scan is probably going to fit. Talk to me about, because when you introduced this to me, I didn't know this. H2 scan has also got a safety and process focus, right?
Yeah.
That's not the monitoring focus.
Well, it's monitoring and control, right? I mean,
okay.
So we have measuring hydrogen is something that's important to different industries besides the power industry. So in the petrochemical industry, understanding the hydrogen concentration in gas streams is important. Being obviously hydrogen can accumulate for various reasons in processes through leaks or whatever. And so, for example, in the storage battery rooms, hydrogen is outgassed in the room and can cause explosions. So monitors to determine presence of hydrogen at explosive level is a critical need. So, I mean, in the process side, the thing that's complex about sensors are tough. Making sensors is not easy. It is very difficult.
So great. You joined a company that makes sensors.
Yeah, no, well, my background is I had worked on many sensors in my career, so that's kind of why. Yeah. That's what I'm passionate about. And so, it's difficult. And in the process side of things, you have all these different cross gases that can affect the sensor's performance. So being able to manage that with our sensor is critical, and that's what differentiates us in those markets.
Okay. I want to switch gears again one more time. Thank you for allowing me to do that. We're here at the IEEE PES T&D. I love all these acronyms that we throw together, right? And I'm a PES guy and have been for a couple of decades. But IEEE is unique. And I've asked everybody this question because everybody seems to have a different answer to why IEEE is important. I know you haven't been part of the power industry for very long, but you have been part of things or organizations that may not have been PES, but they are IEEE focused. Mm-hmm. So I am IEEE PES, but I'm IEEE generic. We had the president of IEEE come by and bring people by for interviews because he was fascinated by what we're doing. And he's not a PES guy. So when I got to interview him, it was like, well, you don't know anything about PES. What are you doing here? It's like, no, I am IEEE. But talk a little bit about how just any experience that you've had, the value of IEEE, A, to the industry, to companies like H2 Scan,
right.
A, to the academics, because we have a lot of academicians that are part of what we do, and then to the utilities or to whoever the end user is. In this case, it would be utilities. Talk a little bit about it, IEEE.
Yeah, I'm certainly not an expert. So my background is mechanical engineering, but I've certainly...
So am I. That's okay.
But I've done a lot of electrical engineering work, mostly in signal processing and control. And so my first exposure to that was really, reading papers from IEEE to develop technologies, right? Understanding what they did and so forth like that. But now in our business now, it's really about the standards, right? And helping us guide what we do, what approach we take, how we need to meet these things, because at the end of the day, you know, you can have a lot of federated things, right? But if you don't have that overall organizing principle, people are going to waste a lot of time doing things, and it's not, in the end of the day, it's not in the customer's best interest, right? The customer wants to see something, understand what it's built to, understand the standards and so forth like that, and feel confident that that I'm getting something that's done correctly. So, you know, like I said, I'm not an expert in this area, but you know, it's sort of a critical, I'll call foundation layer to the business.
You've given me a new mantra. You said no one ever got fired from dealing with IBM. Guess what? No one ever got fired by following an IEEE standard.
Exactly.
All right?
Exactly.
Dave, thank you so much. I
Pleasure,
appreciate it.
Alan. Thank you.